Namaste. Welcome to Wise Owl Career Guide. Today we're going to talk about a profession, a business option which has been very tempting for a lot of youngsters, and everybody once in a while does get tempted with the glamour of it, or the excitement that it represents. So let's understand, what does event management actually mean for the people who are working, and what will it mean for you if you decide to get into this profession. So when I talk about event management, there are basically, on a very broad level, two categories that you can get into. One is you become a business owner with all the kind of equipments that are required for any kind of event. It could be setups for weddings. It could be the electrical equipments like the projector, the sound system for various kinds of events. It could be corporate events, it could be private events. The other option that you can do in event is joining an event company. Now, nowadays, the events is something that all the big media houses have their own setup for it and employ a lot of people. So when we talk about event management as a career and not a business, if you look at various kinds of jobs in event management, you think of any segment and it's required in a event business. You need a finance person because the budgets have to be managed very tightly. You think of technical aspects. There are people who need to have sound, electrical equipment knowledge, because a lot of live conferences happen, and that's where your electrical engineers or people experts in understanding which wires to connect and how to connect, so that the entire transmission happens just like your TV networks do with their live coverages. That's kind of a thing that happens in events as well. Then you talk about sales, you talk about marketing. There is obviously a very high requirement for designers, be it 2D designers, which is people who do your basic artwork in terms of your posters, banners, leaflets, backdrops, or a 3D designer who designs the stalls. Now, any of these aspects you can get into, and yes, the most important and the backbone of the event to be actually successful are the operation guys who actually stand and coordinate between all these people to make the event successful. They have to ensure that the setup happens on time, the client's requirements are kept in mind, and all those aspects are taken care of. The entire audio visual systems are working properly. That is the job of the event supervisors and event operation guys. Then there is obviously procurement for various kinds of gifting options, just for Diwali and various festivals, or even for your during the conference gifting that happens, gifting for the chief guest and all that. So yes, a procurement guy is required. Now, depending on the size of the agency, it could be one person handling multiple roles, or there could be various people doing various roles. Now, when we talk about event management as a business, now that can be done in various ways. One, you can decide to be somebody who has bought the equipment, which is your audiovisual equipment, your LED walls, your sound systems, projectors, and you manage to give that to either directly to the end user, which is the companies or the private parties who require that, or you can become a sub vendor for an event company and you do the setup for them instead of an event company actually going and buying it. Most of them prefer to do subletting to a vendor who's specializes in these equipments, has the manpower, who can manage any kind of hiccups during the event. So you can do that. Then there is private events. Events broadly get, divided into private events and corporate events. Now, private events is, yes, a very huge industry and it's growing every day, because earlier private events were only restricted to weddings and engagement parties, or your 50th birthdays and 50th anniversaries kind of a thing. But now people have started doing house decorations when there is a newborn, or even for small ceremonies, for small birthdays. They prefer to call somebody who can get them the entire decoration done without any headache. And a lot of youngsters are getting into this kind of work, wherein they do a small setup. They do a small tie up with the vendors who sell balloons and various kinds of party decoration material. They keep one or two low end people, and with that they do the house decorations or small party decorations, because a lot of RWAs nowadays have clubhouses where the parties can be done, and they are happening, and these small decorations can be taken care, and you have a decent amount of margin in this kind of work. So if you're thinking of starting small and then growing your scale, this would be your first step. Get into small events, understand what are the kind of hiccups you face, what are the kind of issues and the client requirements, and client irritation points, because events is, at the end of the day, people management. If the person who's given you the work, the event that they want managed, if it's done properly, then yes, you will get repeat business. You will get more business through word of mouth of that one satisfied customer. Now, it looks very glamorous from the outside, the event line, that, oh, you have to, travel so much. You get to go to new places. You see new places. Every event is going to be different. But the reality of that, the challenges of that are much more difficult, because one, there is no time frame in which you're working. You're kind of working 24/7, because most of your setups will happen late at night. So you have to be up all night, and then the event starts in the morning, so you don't get the entire night of sleep, but you have to be looking fresh in the morning for the client. Otherwise the client would not appreciate you doing the setup and not being fresh and present for the event. And then it requires a huge amount of people skill, especially if you are the in between kind of a event company who has to manage the vendor, who's providing various kinds of equipments, manpower. And usually these are not one agency that you will get work from. So your audiovisual will come from somewhere else, your manpower will come from somewhere else. So you have to manage the time and the people, because if they don't deliver, your vendors don't deliver on time, you can't deliver on time, and your client will not listen to any excuses. So at the end of the day, it is you who has to manage both sides and get the work done in a perfect manner so that the client is happy. You cannot go around yelling on your vendor if he's being late, because then he will stop working and again you're stuck. So to be in an event management business or as a career option, and irrespective of which profile in the event profession you're handling, your people skill and your time management has to be perfect. Because if you slip in one, your event is going to be a disaster, be it a private event or be it a corporate event. Private event, you can still get away with you've promised a 20, you've delivered a 18, it'll still be okay. But when it comes to a corporate event, you definitely can't be at a 18. It has to be a 21 or a 22. It can never ever be a 18, because then one corporate client saying a bad word about you is going to lead to a lot of opportunities being lost for you. So if you're thinking of getting into event management business, looking at all the Bollywood movies projecting that it's such a hunky-dory and exciting life, think again. It's a never-ending job because you're always managing something and coordinating with various peoples for various things to be workable, and you need to get that finished product as per the timelines given to you, and that means a lot of time management and a lot of people management. We will be getting more people from this industry to tell you various aspects about it. But in the meanwhile, if you have any questions, you can write in the comments below, and do like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.